Hi, Zizaran here with another build guide for the 3.22 League, and this is Elementalist Detonate Dead. This is very likely to be what we're going to see is going to do really well in the boss kill race from people like Ben and Exile. I haven't fully decided if I'm racing myself yet, but this is one of the more likely winners because it's very fast, tanky enough. Now, obviously, Elementalist is not known for its big tank, so if you're looking for a tanky build, like Champion is a better choice than this is. Another big downside to this build is that it is a 2-button playstyle. That means that you need to desecrate the ground first and then detonate the corpses that you spawn. So if you don't want a 2-button playstyle, this is not the build for you. That being said, it gets a lot of damage, it's incredibly mobile, and it comes online incredibly fast, has a really fun leveling setup. If watching these videos helps you have a good league start, please consider subscribing to the channel as it helps me and my team a lot. Early on, we're leveling with Rolling Magma and Frostbling, Holy Flame Totem, etc. At level 28, you can switch to Armageddon Brand and Cremation. Make sure that you drop a Chance Orb. Very important for that. You can also use a Fuse that you can convert to a Chance Orb. Now we're starting with Desecrate and like the 2-button playstyle. And you're using Armageddon Brand for clearing and then Cremation for bosses. So you don't actually need to Desecrate except for bosses. You have Herald of Ash that you can use for clearing. You can disable this if you have mana issues. So for how to play this, now it is a 2-button playstyle, so you have to Desecrate and then DD. For bosses, you're going to be using your Arcanist Brand as well. This is especially important because you're using Defiled Forces to renew the Ignite, especially important on Val DD. And yeah, it'll do a lot of damage. You just got to run around and stay very mobile. You're not a face tank build, so it does rely on you being a good player and actually not getting hit by slams, etc. You're not going to be able to face tank that. But that being said, this should be one of the favorites to win the Uber race. So first we can show off here, and this is Path of Building. We do have videos for tutorials on how to use Path of Building if you have never seen it before, but we have a step-by-step as per normal where we're like going through and showing you exactly where to allocate the points. You see there's not too many respecs here as well, so it's a very good league starter for that. And we have a few different mid-game and end-game setups. We have it before and after Elemental Overload Scepter. That's something you get from Heist. And then here in maps, you can see that we have DD, and it shows like what to use for clear, what to use for bosses. Arcanist Brand with Flame Surge, Elemental Weakness, Flammability, and etc. Field Charge, Faster Attacks, Defiance Banner, and Determination, Grace, Tempest Shield. And then we have a Castanar Take-In, Molten Shell, and we have a Divine Blessing with Malevolence. So sure you have all of this good stuff. And then Wave of Commission for even more damage. This is like something you're self-casting for bosses. If you're finding it's very button intensive with Wave of Conviction and you don't really want to drop it, you can get Exposure on Gloves. And once you have Exposure on Gloves, you can get Wave of Conviction. But because of our Ascendancy giving an extra minus 25% to the affected resistance, it's so huge that you really do need some exposure. Then in the endgame, we've also included things like alt quality gems like Anomalous Flammability, Anomalous Infernal Cry, etc. And a few Divergent gems, like everything that you could use there. And obviously there's loads of good Awaken gems for the build as well, so keep an eye out for that, especially Awaken burning damage with +1 fire gems is really nice. And if you go to items, you'll see we have loads of sets. Like early on, all you want is just resist on your gear. You don't really need anything, and obviously getting a little bit of fire damage or +1 fire gem levels is great. Early game, cast speed, fire damage crafted is fine, and it's very, very easy to gear here. You're getting life, resist, and suppression. Now, a thing that changes everything for you is getting an oscillating scepter, and that gives you elemental overload without needing to allocate the node. It does not stack, so this saves you some travel points. Then in the end game, you can see everything here. A replica Ember Wake is huge for this build, so do try to get one. So for the Militant Faith, the important thing here is that you have a Various, and with the Green Legion jewel, and this, yeah, drops from Legion, sometimes it can break nodes. So you want one that doesn't like break any other nodes you're actually selecting. But other than that, you just want it for Power of Purpose. That'll make, like, removes a lot of your mana, which makes things cheaper, and you're getting a lot of armor. When you get a Replica Emberwake, there's a few things. You need to make sure that your DD lasts at least 2 seconds. And to do that, we're using Ignite Chance and Duration here, those 2 nodes. You also want to make sure that you have unbound ailments to make it last longer. And then we have defiled forces, which is refresh duration of ignite, chill, and shock on enemies who curse. And this is really good because our Arcanist brand is continuously cursing with flammability and elo weakness. So it's like renewing that DD all the time. And that is very important that you have all those things when you have a replica Ember Wing. Other than that, everything in the gear and stuff is pretty easy to follow. Obviously, try to get a lot of life and suppression on gear and resists. We do have loads of stuff in the notes. Like, for example, once you switch to DD, you equip a Ray Spectre gem and you raise a Kitava Herald. That's the Spectre with the highest HP, and that goes into your pool. Once you raise the Kitava Herald, you can just throw away the Ray Spectre gem. It permanently adds the Kitava Heralds, which is a high HP monster, to your Desecrate pool, and it persists even if you log out. So that's a one-time thing ever. And then other than that, everything very, very easy to like read through anything that you could have fucked up there. And for example, you can use obliterations for clearing. That'll also make the explosions will ignite and cause even more explosions. Feels amazing, especially when you're using sextants and scarabs and adding a lot of monsters. Obviously, it doesn't really help you for single target. There is a new support gem called Sadism that's not in yet. It's most likely going to be better than Swift Affliction, but we don't have the actual final numbers on that yet. So we'll just see how that works when the numbers are out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.